Good evening. I'm Micah Allman. After weeks of immigration enforcement operations in Southern California, the Los Angeles Tenants Union is joining other labor and community leaders demanding ICE agents leave Los Angeles. The groups are calling for an eviction moratorium because of the immigration enforcement.
You should never, ever underestimate the love that progressive and democratic organizations have for literal non-Americans. Non-citizens, people who are in this country illegally, in their mind, are the greatest asset to this country. They are a super class that should be held above you. And a perfect example of this is this new proposal, of course, out of the state of California, that says that illegal immigrants should be immune from eviction proceedings due to the fact that the evil orange man is raiding their work sites, so they can't be expected to pay their rents like everybody else. So essentially, you're incentivizing a system where these people just screw over their landlords, likely people who are American citizens, people who contribute to society, people who pay more in taxes than they actually take out in public benefits, all because we have to protect the sacred illegal immigrant. And again, this is just a perfect distillation of the Democratic Party philosophy, which is the United States of America is stolen land, stolen by evil white racist colonizers that are evil white and racist, which means that you have no right at all whatsoever to determine who comes into your country and whether or not they should actually abide by the laws, customs, and traditions of this country, because it's not really yours in the first place. And this is what we're going to talk about today. But before we do, I want to thank everybody who supports this channel via actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay.
One of the tenants here today says people are scared to go to work, to go to school, to buy groceries, and it's nearly impossible to pay rent when family members are either detained or are in hiding.
So I think it's important that we pull back for a moment and realize how we got here, how we got to this particular situation. Now, obviously, the short answer is Joe Biden had a completely open border. These illegal immigrants were flooding into our country. A lot of them were defrauding the asylum system and taking up huge swaths of taxpayer resources, which angered citizens, and that caused them to elect President Trump. But an even more short-term answer is due to the fact that these democratic cities have sanctuary city policies that prevent them from turning over even violent criminals to ICE agents for deportation. And Tom Homan has made it 100% clear multiple times that the immigration raids in these left-wing cities are a direct response to these cities making that choice to choose the criminal over the American citizen. If you're not going to turn them over in the safest, most sensible way possible, which is after they get out of jail so that they can be deported, so we can get these violent people out of the community, then guess what? We're going to go into the communities, raid these different workplaces, and if we happen to catch other illegal immigrants nearby while we're doing these raids, guess what? They're going to be subject to deportation too. The policy from the Trump administration is designed fully to encourage these cities to change their laws, kind of put pressure on them in order to do so, to get the most dangerous criminals off the streets. But guess what? Los Angeles refused to do so. So in response to this, instead of actually changing the policy, instead of stopping the protection of the criminals, they have decided that the only thing that they can do is make it so illegal immigrants don't have to pay rent, screw over the landlords, because this is the best way to stick it to the evil orange man and stick it to the people who thought that illegal immigrants were getting way too many benefits when they're literally non-citizens, which is to give them more benefits as non-citizens.
What do we want? When do we want it? Now.
The Los Angeles Tenants Union and members of SEIU 721 marching through the streets of downtown LA. Stopping by the federal building where National Guardsmen and Marines have been stationed amidst wide-scale immigration enforcement. For its part, ICE says its men and women are putting their lives on the line every day to arrest violent criminals and defend the lives of American citizens.
So of course this organization has gathered a bunch of people in order to protest. They're protesting in front of the federal building, which by the way is being guarded still by the National Guard and by the Marines due to the fact that there were left-wing riots on behalf of these illegal immigrants in Los Angeles that Democrats were of course denying were happening while they were happening. And again, they targeted these federal buildings. So you essentially have to do this now in the United States of America in order to protect ICE agents doing lawful enforcement. And of course, they're advocating on behalf of these illegal immigrants. They want special privileges and immunities for them, and included in those special privileges and immunities is the fact that they are exempt from rent, because illegal immigrants are such great contributors to our society that they shouldn't have to contribute to our society.
Steve Gibson says the ongoing, oftentimes surprise activity is actually negatively impacting LA's workforce.
And if immigrants are afraid to go to work, they're afraid to go out in public, they're afraid to go to the stores, afraid to take their kids to school, then that's strangling the economy.
So let's be clear, there are potential negative impacts of removing regular, ordinary, working illegal immigrants from the economy. Anybody who tells you that that is not the case is just lying to you. But the fact is, policies tend to have trade-offs. And when these illegal immigrants have children and they're working under the table, not paying taxes, or not earning enough money to pay anything in taxes in terms of their net taxes, what ends up happening is those kids, we spend about $20,000 to $30,000 per pupil per year on our public education system, end up taking up way more resources than these people actually contribute to the system. So they are a net negative in terms of what they contribute. And the city of Los Angeles has lured in over 1 million people in this particular county. So now we're also facing a circumstance where they have over a full congressional district just in Los Angeles County due to the fact that they ended up allowing these people in and set up a bunch of magnets for them, including illegal immigrant healthcare and all sorts of other benefits and perks. And this additional perk is just going to add to that. I mean, again, remember the migrant king, the Venezuelan guy who was telling people you could squat in apartments and steal homes in the United States of America, and the governments of these liberal cities was so stupid they're not going to do anything about it? Well, it turns out that guy was completely wrong, because this organization wants to pass a law to just make that 100% legal and make you exempt from eviction if you're not paying rent for whatever reason.
Fight, fight, fight!
Housing is a human right.
The LA Tenants Union now urging City Council pass emergency protections, including an eviction moratorium within the next week.
So, of course, you have these dopey communists that are chanting, fight, 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 housing is a human right. And again, the idea that housing is a human right is stupid, absurd, and ridiculous. But in addition to that we have to provide this for illegal immigrants and put in protections for them so they don't have to pay rent is absolutely disastrous. And by the way, the previous eviction moratoriums were disastrous on this country during the COVID-19 lockdowns. But again, these people don't care about that. They don't care about the fact that Los Angeles is one of the cities notorious for rent control and all these different tenant protections, and the result, the consequences of those progressive policies have been soaring rents. They just want the government involved, their grubby fingers on everything, because they think the government should be able to enable them to steal from the rightful property owner, and that's exactly what they're advocating for. And the consequence of this, of course, is that you're going to have decreased inventory on the market, and in addition to that, you're going to enable more squatters, because remember, they get pushed into the civil eviction court when they're busted because they can't be arrested. And in addition to that, rents will skyrocket for everyone else.
I am Kenia Alcocer. I am undocumented, and I refuse to go back to the shadows.
Yeah, I'm not saying you should go hide in the shadows, but you should go back to your own country. Again, all these euphemisms, undocumented or whatever that these people want to use, don't hide the fact that they came to this country illegally, they are working illegally in this country, and now they have the audacity to go protest our federal buildings and demand that the LA City Council, which should not represent them, give them special immunities and protections from rent that regular ordinary people have, and basically screw over the law-abiding landlords, the people who are actually providing the housing, because you know what? They want it. They just feel entitled to it. Therefore, you should give it to them. And I say absolutely not. Again, federal agents, she's doing the thing where she's speaking right in front of your building saying that she's illegal. Go snatch this lady up. We don't need any more communists in the United States of America demanding additional welfare.
This because many of Los Angeles's working class community will not be able to pay rent come July 1st. Last week, 7 city councilors joined legal forces to protect people from being racially profiled or unlawfully detained, a proposal that still has to make its rounds through City Hall.
So they highlight these 7 members of the LA City Council who are looking at ways to legislate in order to basically nerf ICE in any way that they find to be possible, and they're targeting them for this eviction moratorium because, again, these are the most likely people in order to bend the knee to the illegal immigrants and give them the additional special privileges that they think they're entitled to.
This terrorizing of our communities have closed down businesses, have taken away street vendors.
So they talk about the businesses and workplaces that are being shut down, and then they cut to street vendors, which are just these people who set up tables on the sidewalk that, by the way, undercut the brick and mortar businesses that have to actually pay taxes, fees, licensing, and whatnot in order to stay operational. And we're supposed to feel bad for them because they don't operate under the guise of the laws and restrictions that everybody else who is a citizen are expected to operate under. And we're just supposed to take this. Again, all because the illegal immigrants have told us so.
Have separated families, and then people cannot pay their rent. They have barely the minimum to survive.
Shut up. Honestly, lady, shut the hell up. You are in this country illegally. You broke the law in order to be here. You're working under the table or doing some sort of sketchy thing in order to get money, and you're worried that you're going to get caught, and you're talking about how, oh my God, it's so sad for you that you have the bare minimum or barely the bare minimum to survive, when guess what? There's a whole ass country that is built for you by your people that you can happily walk your ass back to. In fact, we'll give you a one-way ticket over there if America is so bad for you. The idea that we're supposed to take this constant lecturing from people who disobey our laws about all the additional privileges they should have is absolutely absurd and ridiculous.
What do I want?
Felipe Cáceres is a coordinator with SEIU.
Right now, we are in an emergency and a crisis that has been worse than COVID in our city. There are people being kidnapped and put in this detention facility, and these are the primary breadwinners of their household.
Again, the hyperbolic language is absurd. They're being kidnapped and held in this facility. They're being arrested. They're being arrested because they're here illegally. And the fact that they're illegally providing income for their family, I would have more sympathy for if maybe, just maybe, the city of Los Angeles actually, churned over the criminals that the federal government was asking for and wasn't the actual cause of this particular raid. But you never want to talk about that because talking about that would actually expose how crappy the Democrats are.
And a representative from the city council says they did not discuss the possibility of an eviction moratorium at today's meeting, and there's no official written legislation at this point.
So look, right now, this is the beginning stages of the discussion of whether or not illegal immigrants are supposed to be exempt from rent, whether or not they're going to get another eviction moratorium, and obviously this policy would be a disaster if instituted, but I don't put it past the city of Los Angeles to push forward on something like this. Now, of course, I want to know what you guys think about all this down in the comments below. As per usual, if you like this video, show me by leaving a like. You can subscribe for more content. Follow me on all my social medias, linked in the description of this video. This has been me talking about the city of Los Angeles trying to grant immunity from rent to illegal immigrants. Till next time.